All right, hi everyone. This is Gary Wilson, and welcome to tonight's live Q&A webinar for the Investor Agent Training Program. And on the webinar tonight, we do have a mixed group of brand new people. Thank you and welcome aboard. Some of those who are currently in the program, anywhere between modules 1 and 6, and also some veterans. So welcome aboard, veterans. We're glad to have you here, and we always like to have you log in so that you can share your experience with everyone else in the group, particularly the newer students. We've also got people from coast to coast, so welcome California and Massachusetts, and of course Canada. I'm up in Canada this week, and tonight I'm in Oshawa, and I'll be teaching in Oshawa tomorrow, which is northeast of Toronto. So welcome aboard. Tonight's agenda, we do have a couple emails to look at. Emily Herder sent one in. I'm going to spend a little time on that, and that one's focusing on the booklet. The booklet, of course, is one of the things that I discuss in the free two-hour Keller Williams classes. But we'll talk a little bit more about that tonight, a little more detail. Also, I'm going to talk to you guys and have discussions about buying rentals. A lot of people have been interested in flipping lately, and I understand the interest in flipping because it's exciting. You get large paydays, and of course, when you're doing flipping, you get the paydays, and when your clients are flipping, they get the big payday, and you get a great commission. Typically, at least two of them, if not three, if you get the end buyer. Okay. So I know it's a glamorous, exciting part of the business. However, I don't want to let the air out of your balloons, but I just want you to be mindful of the data. Whatever's going on in your marketplace, you always want to stay abreast of what's happening in your marketplace. And that's something else I want to discuss tonight, is what's currently happening across the U.S. and in Canada. And I may, as a result, encourage you to begin focusing on rentals, and of course, in showing data to your clients to help encourage them to focus on rentals, at least for the timing. It's not that you can't flip. You certainly can flip anytime you want to. But what you're looking to do is maximize your efforts and monetize as many activities as possible. So if you're flipping in a market that's not such a great market for flipping, you're going to get some results, but not as greater results as you'd like to get. So what you might want to do is focus on rentals, okay, when you're going through a correction. And again, you can buy rentals anytime. What you're looking to do is choose the best strategy for you and your clients depending on what's going on in the market. And we've gone over that type of information before, either in the classes at the market centers or here live on these webinars or in the training material itself, okay? So in any case, without further ado, let's do this. Actually, before we get into the subject, I want to go over something with you guys, a trend that's occurring within our group. And when I say the group, I mean everybody from coast to coast. And what we started seeing back in, I think it was June, perhaps July, our market centers are forming study groups around this training program, which is awesome. So it started in Northern Virginia with a guy named Steve Gaskins. He's a team leader, and his, I think, productivity coach, Audrey is her name. And then we saw it occurring up in upstate New York. So if there's any New Yorkers on the webinar here, please let me know. Just give me a shout out on the question box. Let me know that you're on here. Sarah, Catherine, there was a number of you guys that were looking to form study groups. Both of you, of course, were in the Syracuse office, but they also wanted to do the same thing up in Buffalo and down in Albany, New York. Okay, as a result of that, we're seeing an increased improvement in how fast people are moving through the program. Now, you still get your modules once a week, but what's happening is people are applying the material more quickly and progressing through the marketing campaigns more quickly, and of course getting results more quickly. So wherever you are, I encourage you to form a study group within your market center. If you need help doing that, just raise the question, raise your hand, and we'll be glad to help you figure out how to get that started. The other thing that's occurring too is I don't think Dave Gambasini's on the webinar tonight. I think he has to dial in actually if he's on. Next week in Massachusetts, we're helping that group, the regional area, kick off their first mastermind. So there's going to be students there from multiple offices getting together at one of the market centers, and we're going to do a mastermind group, and I'm going to help them launch it so that they can continue on their own. If you guys are interested in this, please let me know. That it doesn't cost you anything. It's just part of the program. one of the things that we do to help you out. Masterminds are an awesome way to share information amongst people across different market centers. And I personally love them. I belong to my own mastermind group. In fact, two of them. Of course, I have my own coach. So it's an excellent, excellent way to dig further into material and share information, see what some of the veterans are doing. Okay. And typically people like Dave love helping other people and don't mind. He's actually shared some of his own techniques already with the group up in Boston. So take that to heart, guys. Please reach out. Let us know if you'd like to do that, and I'll help you get started. In fact, if I'm in the area, because I've already been asked to come back to areas to teach again. In fact, I'll be going back to Maryland here coming up soon because I've been asked, and I've only was there last month. They already want me to come back. I'm going back to Northern California for a third time in December. So if you're in California here, let me know. I'll be in the Sacramento and the Bay Area both the first week of December. I'll be in Central California the middle week of December. That's the week of December 7th. And I will be in Southern California, San Diego area the week of December 16th, I believe. So is that right? No, December 14th. I'm sorry. In any case, so for those of you who've in any areas where I've already taught and you want to do a mastermind, please let me know. I'll be glad to show up when I'm there. And just like I'm doing in Boston, help facilitate the very first one, and you'll be off and running. So it looks like I already got a couple of questions here. Hang on one second. Let's see. This is Sue would like help with the study group. Very well. So Sue, go ahead and shoot me an email if you don't mind. And between now and next week, I'll be able to get to it. And let's see if we can't do a little strategy session to get you started. Let's see, Gary, I'm in Albany, New York, and was wondering if you know if there is a study group here. And this is Dina. Hi, Dina. Hopefully your name didn't get cut off there. What I'll do, Dina, shoot me an email again, please, and I'll have Beverly bring up the roster for Albany. You guys are a little far away from Syracuse to be able to participate in a regional level mastermind, but within your own office, you certainly have enough people for a study group. I think there was 7, maybe 8 or 9 people in your office. So let's get that together, and I'll help you form that. Someone in your office actually was going to spearhead that, and I can't remember her name to save my life right now. So Dina, if you could remind me, let's get to that between now and next week, and we'll get you started. I don't have plans to come back to upstate New York yet, but I will be in the other parts of New York coming up here in the next several months, probably after the holidays, actually. But remember, my sister lives there, and I'm commuting all the time between Ontario, the London area of Ontario, and New England, so I go right through New York. I'll be more than happy to stop in for a day, have dinner with you guys, and help you do a group, okay? Okay, let's move on to the first email. Hang on one second. And this is Emily Herder. So Emily, I think you're not on tonight, but you're going to get the recording of this. So let's use your email first because it talks about the booklet. And the booklet is one of my favorites. That's why I talk about it in the free market center classes. It has always been a very productive tool. It's one of the most popular tools. If you've never done it before, of course, you're going to probably have some fits and starts in the beginning, but stay with it because persistence pays, and repetition is not only the mother of education and learning. Repetition is also the father of results. Okay, so we have some. As a matter of fact, we have some teachers on board here. One of you is a brand new student. Sue is a teacher, so Sue understands the value of repetition. Okay, so let's look at Emily's email. Hi Gary, thanks for the great information. I have a few questions. The booklet for investors looks like it could be time consuming to make and send. I mean, it may take me a day or two to print them, and then a day to address the envelopes, and then 2 days to arrive at the location. That could be true. It really doesn't take long to create the booklet. I mean, once you have the body of it built, and again, you get the body of it free as part of this training program. You'll get the original Word layout. It's a little bit choppy, but you just have to customize it for yourself. To get the listings, you should always be looking at your inventory to know what's a good property, and include those as well as a brief analysis sheet. Some people do, some people don't. I like to include them until I built a relationship with these folks. Okay, You certainly do have to print it, put it in the envelopes. And in the beginning, I did address my own envelopes. And after a while, I had somebody, I paid a part-time employee just like 2 hours a week in the beginning to address them for me. Okay, so if you want to do that and you can afford, say, $20 or $25 for 2 hours of part-time labor, it would maybe be worth your while. In any case, and then yes, send it in the mail. Now, you could go a little bit further with this, Emily, if you're concerned about velocity. In other words, properties are flying off the shelf very quickly. I understand that. You can actually hand deliver these. It does take a lot more time. Um, I don't mind visiting these professional service providers directly. I generally don't do it until about the second or third month out. And those are the ones who obviously have not responded yet. Now, I know people on the webinar tonight have already used the booklet and already started getting responses on their very first mailing, which is awesome. Okay. But I instructed them the same thing I'll instruct you is keep following up. Keep sending it to people who have not responded. Do it for up to a year. And for those who haven't, don't be afraid to stop in their place of business. Introduce yourself. Let them know that you're the person sending the booklet. And in fact, this came up today in today's class. Great question, by the way, in today's class. If you haven't heard from a recipient, go ahead and stop by their office, particularly if you're in the area. Just pop your head in informally. Don't take a lot of time because they're busy, and just let them know, hey, I'm the person that's been sending the booklet, or say, I'm Emily, been sending you this booklet. What do you think? Again, typically they'll give you a sort of a non-committal response, and before they get too hesitant, go ahead and just say, you know what, no problem. How about if I just set you up with a search for properties just for you in your area? Okay. And then once they answer that question, if they answer yes, and almost always they do, quite frankly, then you can say, great, I'll call you later tonight with just a few questions so I can fine tune the search to give you specific properties specifically for you and specifically in your area. How's that sound? And then you get their phone number. Okay. So if you're concerned about velocity, I know in some markets like in the San Francisco Bay Area, properties fly off the shelf pretty quickly there. Days on market is very short. Now that's true for traditional owner-occupied properties. For investor properties, it's usually not that bad. Okay, it can be. Now here's the challenge with rental properties. Rental properties a lot of times are not even on the MLS, and that's why we like to use the letter to send to the owners of the rental properties to get their interest in selling their properties. Now you have inventory. Okay. So back to Emily's question. Let's see here. Okay. And in our market, a good deal goes fast. Is it the intent of the listings in the booklet just to give the investors an idea of what's on the market? Because I'm feeling like the property would already be under contract by the time they got the booklet. Good question. And the answer is yes. You should let's see here. It says sound gone again. All right, hang on one second, guys. I am going to get a different headset, so hang on one second. Okay. Now, let me check real quick. Sound is distorting again. Let me do this. I'm going to plug in another headset, so hang on one second, guys. I've got a backup here. It's well, I was going to say not as good as this one. This one actually is a higher quality boom. I'm not sure what's going on here. It seems like it's the hotel. Whenever it's some hotels I'm in, this happens, and it must be the wireless network. So hang on one second. Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, now can you hear me? Sorry about that. So let's see. We look for response. Okay, so far you guys are saying yes, you can hear me. Let me look for a few more responses. If you can hear me, let me do this real quick. Okay, how about now? And let's check the responses. Okay, is that any better? Let's check responses. Okay, so far so good. But I'm not getting any response. Hopefully you guys are able to hear me okay. Let's see, do I need that there? Okay. Let's see here, dashboard, audio, speakers. Okay, it says the mic's working, guys. And I can hear myself, so let me go back here. All right. Sue and Jim, can you guys hear me okay? Hang on one second. Whoops. Okay, Sue, can you hear me? Okay, let me check Sue's response. Yep, says the mic's okay and the boom's okay. So this is really unusual. Okay, let's pick up where I left off here. Looks like everything's back in order, and I've not heard back from Sue, but I'm going to continue here. So if you guys could please let me know if there's a sound problem again, please just let me know. But I want to get back to Emily's email. Okay. Let's see. The purpose of the booklet again is not necessarily to sell any particular listings, but more importantly to demonstrate your command of the marketplace, and also give them tools they can use and give them something that's valuable, something that they will remember you by. Number one. Number two is actually keep and use. Okay. Oops, hang on one second here. Breaking up completely. Can't hear anything you were saying. All right. Hang on one second, guys. Let me try a different port. All right, so hang on one second. Okay, I just tried a new port, so if you could please let me know if this is better. I'm just getting, okay, that's working. Hallelujah. So what I did, guys, is I went to a different port. So I apologize for the brief delay there and interruption in service. I'll see if I can, this happens about once every 10 or so webinars. I got to figure out if there's a way to overcome this, because I don't like that happening. In any case, back to Emily's email. The big question is, you're really not using the booklet to sell particular listings. What you're trying to do is you're trying to demonstrate that you have a command of the marketplace and you have the tools to help these folks be successful, and you have the information. Okay, so that's what you're trying to do, because remember, eventually you may be providing inventory that's not even necessarily on the MLS system. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep in mind the purpose of the booklet. Okay, let's see. Second question is, where do you recommend we find the doctors and dentists, etc., to whom we will be sending these booklets? You mentioned the book of lists and the yellow pages. What is the best resource? Let's see here. Hang on one second. Can't understand what you're saying. I hope the replay. Yes. Okay. Sounds like we're still having audio issues, and I'm not exactly sure why. let me do this. Hang on one second here. Okay, hang on one second. Audio. Okay, now, how is this audio? Let's try this. Nothing. Okay, very low in volume, but it sounds like you can hear me, so let me do this. Hang on one second. Whoop. Okay, how's this, guys? Okay, is this better? Let me check. I just turned up the volume, low volume, volume too low. I'm not sure. Hang on one second. I know what to do here. Hang on one second. Computer system properties. I think that's it. That's not what I want. Security system. That's not what I want. Let's go back here. Hang on one second. Not network. I want devices and printers. Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. We're almost to the point. Uh-oh. Okay, let's see. Should get me to systems here, network, internet, sound. Okay. All right, says everything's working there. Panel options, display windows, sound, audio play, devices and printers. Manage audio devices. Speakers. Let's try this. Okay, that's all okay. Recording, microphone is on and up. Okay. Let me reduce all this. Get out of here. And I'm going to double check here. Hang on a second, guys. This is the first time this has ever happened like this. This is crazy. Okay. Very faintly, but my volume is all the way up. Okay, I don't think I can turn mine any louder. I just checked everything. And it's all the way up here. So audio quality for the last 5 minutes. Check out the recording tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep talking because it sounds like some of you guys are okay. I'm just baffled as far as what's going on here. But I'm going to keep chugging along here. So hang on one second. Let me pull this out. I'm going to plug this in a different port. Okay. And let's see. Oops. What was that last comment? Hang on one second. Volume is lower, but quality is excellent. Okay. All right. I'm almost afraid to change this, guys. Okay. Not only the volume is low, but your connection is all broken. I'm listening in a phone connection. Sound is better. I can hear you. Okay. All right. Let's continue here. I'm almost afraid to change what I'm doing, and I'm going to have to get the tech guy on this tomorrow because I don't want to have this continuing. So let's pull it off there. I'm going to bring this back, my control panel back, and sound is better. I can hear you. Thank goodness. And thank you all for your patience. We'll stay on longer tonight just to make up for the time lost there. Okay. Let's see. Can you go back to Emily's first question about the booklet, please? Yes. Okay. So back to Emily's first question. What she's wanting to know is what is the primary intent of the booklet? So the primary intent of the booklet is actually not to sell listings. It's to demonstrate a command of the marketplace, command of the tools, and command of the information. So you're demonstrating that by giving these people, what are actually true listings. Okay, they might sell quickly, they might not. You can't control that, but you can give them a reason to follow up with you because you're giving them something that's not just a glossy brochure that's talking about you. You're giving them something that's meaningful to them, and they have listings, at least at the time of print, that are active in the marketplace. They've got an analysis tool to do due diligence on them, and they have your contact information. And now you also have broken the ice, so you have the reason to stop in and visit them should you choose to do so. And I personally like to do that. I know a lot of agents don't want to do that, but I recommend it. Okay, so the intent is to establish the relationship. The intent is to establish contact and to begin building rapport. Okay, that's what you're looking to do with this, all right? Because once you have them that relationship established and they're a prospect of yours, now you're going to be sending them listings on a continual basis. Anytime something pops up, you're also going to be using other campaigns to generate inventory that may or may not be on the internet, on the MLS system, okay?
So that's really the intent of the booklet, okay? So the second question is, where do you recommend we find the doctors and the dentists? And to whom will we be sending these booklets? You mentioned a list, uh, a big book of lists in the Yellow Pages, okay? All right, here's what I would do, Emily. I, I only give you the example of the big book of lists because that's what I did in the beginning. What I realize is I could be just as effective using the local phone book, okay? Because the phone book is in alphabetical order, and it's also uh, listed primarily by vocation and type of business, okay? So remember, if you're looking for particular people like dentists and chiropractors and the various types of engineers, this isn't direct, by the way. With engineers, you're not going to be looking necessarily for engineer. You might be able to do that in the phone book, okay? But what you're looking for are businesses that would be owned by engineers, electrical contracting businesses, plumbing contracting businesses, and so forth, okay? So in any case, I like to use the phone book. In every area I go to, I've always determined that there's a preponderance of these professional service providers who are also high wage earners and also dedicated and loyal, and they just quite frankly make good investors, okay? So for everybody on the webinar here, you don't have to spend money on the big book of lists. In some parts of North America, you don't even have the big book of lists. So you have it in Toronto, you have it in Montreal, you have it in Boston, you have it in San Francisco, you have it in Washington, D.C. But really, the phone book is everywhere. I don't care what city you're in, what town you're in, big or small, even in towns that are small, like, say, Dayton, Ohio. Phone book works great there, okay? So that's where I go to focus on those particular groups. Now, you might not be able to focus on all of those groups because that could be too many people. So I would start with one group in the beginning, like chiropractors, for example, or whatever. Let's say you're married to a dental hygienist and you have access to dentists. Once you get to know one dentist, for example, and you meet their needs, now you're in the in group, okay? So I would focus on one group first and then move to the next group. I know I've instructed people, do not send out more than 100 of these at a time because you need to be able to handle the volume of calls, all right? These people, when they call you, they're not cold leads. They're actually a warmed up prospects based on how you've marketed them, okay? Okay, let's see, question number 3, but before I do, let me look over here. I Google search dentist in my area. That's Carol. Thanks, Carol. Carol, I believe, by the way, you're one of my most favorite participants because you're on every single webinar, and I appreciate that. And yes, that's true. Just use online. Matter of fact, the Yellow Pages are also online in every city and every town in the country, and North America, excuse me. So you can Google search anything and everything. It works like a charm. You can also get ratings on people. You can find out who are the are the top performers. Okay. Let's see. This is Dwayne. Dwayne says, with the real estate bubble burst in terms of flipping properties, what type of properties would you yourself focus on? Okay. All right. Thanks, Dwayne. This was a great question. I'll go ahead and cover that now before we get into Emily's third question. Well, depending on where you are in North America, you could be in an area where you still have a lot of bank inventory. Okay. So even though inventory is tight, if you can use, in the U.S. that is, you can use the banktracker.com website to see what banks have foreclosures, and you can look at volume of foreclosures a number of different ways in any area of North America. And that does include Canada. A lot of people think Canada doesn't have foreclosures. We do have foreclosures up here. Okay, it's just you have to find them differently. You have to use different techniques. You actually have to visit the local courthouse. Okay, so back to Dwayne. In an area where there's still a good bit of bank inventory, I'm not opposed to picking those properties up to flip. The challenge is when you look at the numbers, when you look at the volume of properties and the volume of sales relative to the number of listings, you always want to have something that's about a 30 days on market turnover. Okay, velocity is about 30 days on market. If it's longer than that, particularly if it goes up to, say, 90 days or even 6 months, I absolutely would start to focus on rentals. In fact, I would start focusing on rentals long before that happens. So if you follow the trend in your marketplace and you notice that you are, let's say in the San Francisco Bay Area, their days on market was at one point 11 days, then it was 18 days. This was across the board. When it got to 30 days, that's an indicator that the market's changing. Okay, so I always look ahead. Matter of fact, what I do is I lead the market with everything I do. I lead the market with pricing. So if pricing is going up and I'm flipping homes, I'm gonna add 10% to my price when I flip a home. Okay, because I'm gonna lead the market. If the market's declining, I will pull back and reduce the price of my flips as the market declines. Now at that point, obviously I'm going to stop flipping. Um, I like flips no matter what the market's doing. So I would always, Dwayne, I would always be in the market I'm sorry, rentals. I would always be in the market for rentals no matter what. The difference is your flipping is what's going to go up and down with the marketplace. You will always be in the rental market, and you will adjust your flipping depending on the market conditions. So right now, overall, this is the final answer to Dwayne's question. I actually would focus on rentals. In fact, Dwayne, that was one of the key things I was going to discuss tonight. So kudos to you for using your intuitive abilities to pick up on that. So let's see here. Um, Back to Emily's third question. Okay, in your last Q&A, you mentioned that you had a guide for flippers. I did not receive that. That should have gone out to everybody. Um, if you did not receive it, please let me know. As part of this program, just because you're a current student, what's going to happen is you have access to other information and other tools we have and other books um, that are written on these subjects, and for the most part, it's free. You get all these books for free. So if you guys want to remind me, if you're still interested in flipping, at least after tonight's discussion, I'll certainly give you the book on flipping. There is a webinar coming up on Thursday the 10th. It's in addition to our regularly scheduled webinars. The next one's next Tuesday night, again, as a reminder. But next Thursday the 10th, I'm doing a webinar just on flipping because we're doing another pilot program for people who want to really dig into flipping and focus on that and actually flip themselves. So you'll have an opportunity to listen on that and participate if you like. So if everybody's interested in flipping, we'll do that. Now, having said that, I'm going to get back to Dwayne's question here later and talk about the virtue of getting into rentals right now. Okay? Let's see here. Next question for Emily. Okay. In the county court filings, there are a lot of foreclosures. At that point, can I be of any help to them? Is there any reason for me to contact them? All right, Emily, I'd be honest with you. Years ago, I used to approach people who were in or going into foreclosure, and I stopped doing it because it took up so much time. I was making so much money working with conventional investors who didn't have money problems. Again, professional high wage earners. Um, I didn't have to go after pre-foreclosure and foreclosure listings. Now, the reason you want to know about the foreclosures is you can go to the bank who's foreclosed on the property and ask them to let you sell one or more of their properties. Okay, that's why I encourage you to go visit small local banks because you can help the marketplace by helping that inventory get turned over in the marketplace, so it doesn't. The marketplace is going to have to go through its trend no matter what. You can help the process by helping the inventory get turned over. Here's the deal, guys. The more bank inventory that's out there, the harder it is on the marketplace. What happens is prices do not go up as fast. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is people will start to lean towards these foreclosures, and traditional listings will sit longer. Okay, it's kind of a double whammy. So it's in your best interest to help these banks sell these properties as quickly as possible. So that's how you would want to use the information on foreclosures, however you can get it. Again, I personally, I like visiting the banks personally. That's what I like doing. It's always worked well for me. It's a relationship business, and when they can see you and know you and like you and trust you, you're more likely to get business that way. Okay, let's see. I talked to my broker about the school report. He didn't seem to understand it, and I get that a lot of realtors are stuck in the traditional mindset, and that includes our ownership. The good news is a lot of our OPs are investors themselves. A lot of team leaders are not investors. Um, so In any case, I don't under, I don't understand his comment about using broker biometrics. I understand that, but it's actually called broker metrics. I have broker metrics too, Emily. But the reality is, um, if you have enough people in your office who have taken this program, what you want to do is use take the school report in your module one, print that off, and take it in and show them how it's used and why it's so valuable. Because every agent in the market center can use that report to save time, energy, and money on the marketing. And if you want to, have them call the Pittsburgh North office. It's Karen Stoffer's a team leader. They have a brand new director of first impressions. Also, they have a new MCA. But they produce that report every 90 days. That report. In Canada, it's called an area report. In the U.S., it's called a school report. Okay, but it doesn't make sense for each of you to produce it individually. It makes more sense to have one person in your office create it, put it on the resource page of the office website, and it'll save a lot of people a lot of money. That's the bottom line. Everywhere it's used, people love it. Okay. Um, okay. Let's see here. Let me move forward. Let me check for questions here real quick. Um, okay. Google search. I got that. I got that. It looks like some of you are still having a volume issue. Some of you are okay and some of you are not. I don't know. I don't understand why. But before we do the next one, I'm gonna look into this and I'll see if the hotel I'm at next Tuesday has basically a more robust internet connection other than their standard Wi-Fi. If there is, I'll pay for it because it seems to be it's when this happens, it's like once a month or something. And it just could be I'm just far away from the front office, so I'm far away from their wireless router, if you will. It could be something as simple as that. So I've got to find that out, and I'll solve that for you before the next time. Okay, let's see here. Next subject. All right, we talked about buying rentals. So let me flip over here. Um, and thanks to Dwayne for prompting this because I actually had this to talk about tonight. And Dwayne is very intuitive. You guys see what's going on in the marketplace. You hear what's being discussed on these webinars. And here's something I really want you to consider, not just for yourselves, but more importantly, for your clients. Okay. Um, I like buying rentals. I don't care what the market's doing. I can always find good deals on buying rentals. I can always justify the concept of buying rentals in any market, any economy. It just doesn't matter. Okay. Um, so here's some reasons why. I'm going to give you the big reasons why. And again, if you guys want this book, now this book has already been um, created last year. We did the pilot program for this last year. We did the editing. The editing is being completed now, in fact, and it's going to be published here soon. You can get the pre-print version, and I'll give it to you for free because you're one of our students. If you're interested after this in learning more about buying rentals, please let me know so we can send this out to you. Okay. A couple of things, a couple of reasons why I suggest this. All right. Number one is there's a lot of benefits. All right. Um, let's see here. This is somebody just sent the email. This is Ricardo. Look at your internet connection. Bottom right. Apparently, you have a low quality connection at this moment. Um, yeah, I think that's what you're talking about. So there it is, right there, guys. It looks like the Marriott that I'm in. I must be far away from the office where they have their router. So I've got 3 out of 5 bars. So that's probably why we're experiencing this tonight. So I apologize if that's the answer. Then Ricardo, thanks for pointing that out. I'm going to make sure whatever room I get, I'm close to the office. Okay. Um, okay. And by the way, if this recording turns out to be a real mess, we'll redo the session. Okay. So don't worry, you guys are not going to miss out anything. We'll make sure we redo this if we have to. But back to the rentals. A couple things. Tax benefits. I love rentals for a number of reasons. Number one, primarily, let's forget about number 4 here, tax benefits for the moment. When you flip homes, you get paid one time. You get a huge influx of cash when you sell your property for profit, and I understand that. It's very appealing. It feels great, and I've done it. The challenge is you typically have to pay taxes on that called capital gains. So a large portion of your gain is going to be uh, allotted to or allocated towards taxes. Okay, so when it comes to rentals, you don't get large influx of cash. You get steady cash flow every month on a monthly basis for as long as you own the property. So here's how you make money in rentals. Number one, of course, is you get the cash flow, the net operating income, which is your rents after your expenses are paid. Okay, so we get cash flow. You also get equity pay down, equity buy down, which means if you finance it with a mortgage, which you typically will, over time your mortgage is paid down, so you have more ownership in the property. You also have, along the same lines, appreciation. The property will appreciate, even if only slightly over time. Even a rental property will appreciate. So you've got another way to increase your equity portion of the property, what you actually own. You owe it. Sorry, what you own minus what you owe is your equity. That increases not just because the mortgage is being paid over time, but also because the property goes up in value. So that's the third way. The fourth way is, and this is true almost everywhere you live. It doesn't matter where you live. You also get certain tax benefits. You get benefits in the way of depreciation. Depreciation is a phantom write-off. It's a paper write-off. And what that means is your taxing authorities let you claim a certain expense that's called depreciation. Even though the property is going up in value, they make the assumption that the property, because it's in service, it's being used for a business, that it depreciates, it loses value over time. Well, we know that's not true. It doesn't matter. The fact is that the tax laws are there and we should use them to our benefit. Even if your area that doesn't allow that, you still have another way to make money on rentals, and that is you can finally sell it, whether you've owned it 10 years, 12 years, whatever, 15 years, 30 years. You can sell it for a profit. And the reason I point that out is, even though it's obvious, I've owned other businesses. I've owned several other businesses, and I can tell you, when you own a beauty shop or a garage and you go to sell it, it's not nearly as easy as it is to sell a piece of property, because when you're selling a beauty shop, you're only going to appeal to people who want a beauty shop, which is a small segment of society. When I sell a piece of real estate, there are far more people out there who will be interested in buying a piece of real estate. Okay? So that's the fifth way, or in some cases the fourth way, in how you profit from owning rental real estate. It does take longer to build wealth and income, but it's a lot more powerful because you actually keep the property and own it. Remember, when you flip a property, you sell it. You're not building up equity in anything. So I like the long view. I like building wealth and income, and that's why I like rentals. I do like flipping. I do flip when I want to raise capital quickly. Okay, but you have to, when you flip, the way I teach you, you have to use cash. You can't be borrowing money from everybody and running a lot of risk. Okay, it's a different subject, for a different call. In any case, back to the subject here. I highly recommend that you use a corporate entity to buy properties, depending on where you are. It doesn't have to be a C corp or a traditional type corporation. You can have partnerships. You can do limited liability companies. You can do all kinds of stuff. I like using LLCs. Okay. Now, up in Canada, I've only done things in my own personal name. However, I'm getting ready to form a company up here, because the business tax structure in Canada for small businesses is actually more favorable right now than it is in the States. Okay, that's why I'm doing that. Okay, let's see. Moving on here. How to pay. Now, it says here, financing, just say no. The reality is, with interest rates as low as they are, I do encourage you to finance, but only what's necessary. What I want you guys to do is build up cash flow by using your license to service other investors to generate additional commissions. Save that up to make your down payment, okay, and use a bank note for the rest. You'll get a much lower interest rate that way, and you're also going to have a much stronger position to operate from, and cash flow much more from that property if it's not 100% leveraged, or in other words, not 100% financed. I know that runs counter to a lot of what everybody's been reading and being taught on late night television. However, I can tell you from experience, and also from knowing a lot of investors around North America who've done quite well in Canada and U.S. They actually, a lot of them use cash. Okay, they don't want to have the risk of having a lot of financing out there. I know people who have virtually almost no debt. All right, in the beginning, yes, put down 35%. Some areas you got to put down 35%. Some areas you can put down 20%. I know a lot of areas I looked at in Canada, you've got to put down 35%. Just be patient, build up your cash reserves, and put down your 35%. Finance the other 65%. And here's why I say that. One of my favorite ratios is the 2/3, 1/3 ratio. In other words, I only want to owe 2/3 of what I own. So in Canada, that fits my model perfectly. Okay. Now that's on the asset liability side. That's what you own versus or minus what you owe. On the income expense side, in other words, money coming in on a monthly basis, rents coming in versus debt service going out, principal interest on your mortgage payment going out. That I don't want to see to be more than 1/3. I don't want you to see have a interest payment, a mortgage payment with interest and principal that's more than 1/3 of your gross receipts. Okay. So let's see here. Locating properties. Now the good news is everybody here has already received Module 1 of the Investor Agent Training Program, and if you've got that and you're into Module 2, you already have the basic information on how to locate the properties. Okay. Let's see here. Types of properties. For rentals, you can certainly rent out single-family homes. I recommend small multi-unit properties. When you're first starting off, just start off with 2, 3, and 4 unit properties. And the reason I'm telling you this is not just for your own purposes, guys, but also for you to help your investors who are first starting out themselves. Some of them are going to say, I want to buy a 10-unit building. Well, you eventually can get to that point, but let's start off with the basics and do a small property first, because you're going to have to learn the basics. You might as well learn the basics on something that's low risk. Okay, if you're going to make mistakes, make mistakes on a small property instead of making mistakes on a large property. Trust me. Okay, you're going to take your lumps, and so are your clients. You're going to reduce the risk by following the program and starting off small. Believe me, it'll take off over time. Most people that I've seen that I've worked with have been able to retire in as few as 18 months and no more than 5 years. An average of say 3 years. That's what I tell people. It's about 3 years. Okay. Any case, neighborhood characteristics. This is all in the book. If you guys want this book, I'll give it to you. Again, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to buy anything. You'll get the book for free. I don't want to get into a lot of details here because a lot of this is covered in the program. However, I do want to focus on neighborhood characteristics because we don't get into a lot of that in the Investor Agent program. We get into it just enough for you to be effective. But here's the deal: when you're working with clients who are buying rental properties, in addition to what you've seen in Canada, it will be using Canada Post and the Canadian stats, the census data. Okay, in the area report. In the U.S., it's going to be your school report, followed by melissadata.com and your U.S. Census data. After you've used those tools, now you're out into the field and you want to focus on neighborhoods in the case of rentals where there's at least some parking. Okay, some of it can be on-street parking, some of it can and should be off-street parking. You definitely want to have tree-lined streets. You do not want to, if you're in an area where it's so congested, there's not any trees, you and your clients are going to struggle. Just trust me on that one, okay? You do want to be around schools and parks, okay? Not right on top of them, but certainly across the street, down the road. It's a very good thing to be near schools and parks. Not so good to be around police and fire. You want to be no closer than, say, 5 blocks, 3 to 5 blocks at the closest to police and fire for obvious reasons, okay? You also do not want to be around a lot of non-residential. You definitely do not want to be around industrial areas. You don't want to be too close to office park areas. It's okay to be near them, just not right on top of them. Being around a shopping center is not so bad, just not right on top of it, but it's great for people to be able to walk to shopping, okay? So keep those things in mind. I want you to take notes on this because I want you to review your notes later and think about everything that's implied here. When we talk about this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what does that imply? Okay, it's very important. It looks like we had a question come in, so let me go back here. I got 1 second. Here it is. This is Stuart. Hi, Stuart. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Possible to gain more reward with more debt use, but always has more risk. Risk versus reward is very great. Yes. So here's why I advocate being more conservative. It's very tempting to grow a portfolio rapidly by taking on more debt. The challenge is one of the life events occurs. Okay, forget the economy. Something happens, unfortunately, in your personal life, and you're in a financial bind, and you're too highly leveraged in your portfolio. You could suffer some damage, and I don't want to see people suffer. Okay, I know my methodology is conservative. It does seem like it's the tortoise, not the hare, but here's the deal. Would you rather be the tortoise where you constantly see gains and very, very little risk? Or would you rather have rapid gains with more risk and all of a sudden you take 10 steps forward, something happens, you take 5 steps back. 10 steps forward, 5 steps back. I would rather see you take one step at a time, always with using forward momentum, always with gains and always with profit. And then when something happens, you don't lose ground. You might lose a day, but you're not going to use a year's worth of activities. Okay. Let me see here. Let's go back. Other questions. This is Ariana. Hi, Ariana. How you doing? Long time no see. Should we start off renting single-family homes before multi-units? Actually, Ariana, it's an excellent question. I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to suggest you start off with small multi-unit rentals, a 2-unit, a 3-unit, and possibly even a 4-unit. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever the market gives you, start with that. Yes, you can start off renting single-family homes, but contrary to what I was just saying about being patient, the single-family home market, it will take you a lot longer to progress. And here's the deal: when it comes to risk and reward, like Stuart was pointing out, the reduction in risk with going with single-family homes is not justified by any increased reward. That's why I advocate with the rental business. Just go ahead and start off with some small multi-unit properties because the risk-reward ratio is more in your favor on the reward side without increasing the risk. Okay. Now I did rent out a lot of single-family homes. However, what I can tell you is I always had a longer-term plan for them. In other words, I would buy single-family homes for the purpose of warehousing them, so down the road I could, if I've had a tenant in there for 10 years and I wanted to sell one, once the tenant is left, I will go in and remodel the apartment and sell that property for profit. Okay, so it's almost like a long-term flip. So it's a kind of a hybrid approach that I use with single-family homes. I will either flip them outright or I keep them for rentals and kind of stack them up in inventory, knowing that later on when the market conditions are right, I can sell a bunch of them, raise capital quickly, and buy a lot more multi-units. That's how I use single-family homes. Okay. Okay. Let me get back here. All right, everybody has the analysis tools from the Investor Agent program. You've got the Opportunity Evaluator, which is the Excel spreadsheet. You've got the Rental Property Reporter, which is the online link, and that gives you more tools, more ratios that financial people would appreciate, like internal rate of return, future value of current cash flows. So we've gone over those calculators a lot before. What I want you guys to do is practice with those calculators with fictitious numbers. You just wanted to get familiar with that. That's all you're looking to do, okay? You've also already seen the physical forms to do the analysis on the properties. You all have those at your disposal, so you can practice with those. Let's see, as far as specific owners for buying rentals, and this is, I would pay attention here. For those of you who don't buy rentals, and yet you represent people who buy rentals, you can get some of them from banks, not nearly as many as you can single-family homes, okay? You can definitely get them from estates. People pass away and they happen to own rental properties and the heirs don't want to have anything to do with them. But here's a bigger way, a much bigger pool of potential sellers, okay? Retiring investors, guys who've had a lot of properties over a lot of years, and they're just quite frankly retired and they want to sell. And I'll give you a perfect example. I don't know if Leslie, you're on the webinar here, Leslie Jones down in Hampton. She got a new client this past spring who had her sell, I think it was an 8-unit building, and then just last month, maybe it was July, The same investor approached her and said, you know what, I have a lot of other properties. I'd like to sell them too. And would you sell my other properties? And it came out to be like 52 units, guys. Okay. All right. So she's now able to list and sell 52 units and provide a lot of inventory for her buyer class. All right. This is an example of being in the game and swinging the bat. Does that happen every day? No. But does it happen that anybody who's in the game swinging the bat and taking their duplexes and taking their 3 units and taking their single family home flips? It does. It's just a matter of time. You're going to get your home run. Leslie happened to hit hers in the first 6 months of the program. So God bless you, Leslie, and kudos to you. Let's see here. You already know about the right kind of realtor, which is you guys. All right. Making the offers, and again in the investor agent program, we give you the formula for the after repair value. We give the formula for the maximum level offer. This is very important. Comps. We don't talk about this enough, so I want to focus on this. I know we're getting over time here. It's 8 minutes after 8, but I want to give you guys some extra time because we lost time early in this tonight's webinar, unfortunately. So whenever you're working with investors, you always want your investors to determine if a property is worthwhile investing in. Okay, let them do the analysis. Give them the tools. Let them do the analysis. However, where you come into play is providing comparable sales, because at the end of the day, before an offer is extended, you always want to give it the litmus test. You want to validate it that the offer is a good offer for your client against other sales in the area. So if your client's looking to buy a 3-unit building, you want to look and see what other 3-unit buildings are selling for or have sold for in the last 90 days, 6 months, what have you, in that area and other similar areas. Okay. So some people call this a CMA. I really don't like CMAs because there's a lot of fluff in there. I would rather just give them a good old-fashioned email and say, look, here's all the 3-unit properties that have sold in the last 90 days in these areas. And I would tell them what the areas are so they can validate that the areas are comparable. Okay. Now they're making a good, educated decision backed up with a bit of validation on the information that only you can provide them. Okay, they can't get comps. They have to have you get comps. Very, very important. That I would never short-circuit the process and cut this out. I know a lot of people do that. But again, if you can help prevent your clients from making a mistake, please do it. Help them be successful so you can be more successful. Okay? All right, that's really what I wanted to cover tonight on buying rentals. The rest of the stuff is about getting ready for the closing. And of course, your clients should already be aware that they should get title insurance. As a matter of fact, I insist that they do. They need homeowners insurance. They got to get this utility switched over. In the case of rentals that are already occupied, you've got to transfer deposits and you've got to assign leases. Okay, and you have to prorate the rent. So if you close in the middle of the month, the old owner gets credit for half the month's rent, and the new owner gets credit for the other half of the month's rent. Just obvious things that a lot of people tend to overlook. I want you to pay attention to that, and again, it's in the material in the book. Property management, we won't get into that too much, you guys. You've all heard me talk about that enough. In fact, we have so much interest in property management, we actually are putting that program together also for you guys. There's about 30 of you who've expressed a strong desire to be involved with property management. All right, we talked about investing retail versus wholesale before. Personally, I like buying turnkey rentals. In other words, I like buying properties that are already up and running because they have a current demonstrated track record that I can look at. Right? I can also look at the tenants. If you buy a property that's wholesale, in other words, it needs a lot of work, it's maybe a bank foreclosure or an empty property from an estate sale, a lot of times they need a lot of work, okay? And you really don't know what that place is how it will perform in the marketplace. You can project pretty well, but it's a lot more risky. Plus, you've got to do some rehab on it and eventually rent it out and eventually refinance it. The life cycle of option B is much, much, much longer. You have a much longer waiting period before you get any income coming in, okay? Because you're going to buy it, rehab it, and eventually rent it out. With turnkey properties, they're producing income from day one. I love turnkey properties because the day I buy it, I get rent beginning that day, okay? Also, guys, very important. In today's economy, bankers, lenders prefer lending against turnkey properties that are already in service and showing income. They do not like this approach right now. Okay, they haven't for years. It's very risky. Some banks will do it right now because the lending standards are loosening up. Um, but you're still going to have a hard time finding a lender who will finance this whole project here. Okay. All right. I think, let me check here for questions here real quick, guys, because I just gave you a lot to think about. Yeah, looks like I'm caught up on the questions here, and it is 8:15. So any other questions about buying rentals and why I'm kind of advocating it right now? Just interesting that Dwayne's question popped up because I already had determined we're going to talk about that tonight based on everything I'm seeing in Canada and the U.S., okay? Again, coast to coast. So real quick, by the way, I told you about my December plans for California. In November, the first week in November, I will be in Tennessee. Second week, I'll be in and around Atlanta, Georgia. And the third week of November, I'll be in and around Orlando, Florida. Uh, let's see. The week of October 19th, I will be back in Pennsylvania. In the week of October 26th, I'm actually going back to New England, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. So, lucky you guys. All right. Okay, I think that is it, guys. Let's see here. Let me look for more questions. Hey, Gary, can't wait for us all to meet you next Wednesday. Thanks, Luke. I look forward to seeing you guys too. I think that's the Worcester office. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. And I'm going to be spending time, by the way, with Dave over this weekend. He's going to come up and do some surfing with me. My old buddy Dana Truman, who's a broker up in Maine, he also owns a surf shop. So we're going to help Dana launch his wholesaling business. We're going to have a 90-day plan set up for him over the weekend. And I'll share that with you guys too if you'd be interested in that. And say, hey, Dave, I can't wait either too. Thanks, buddy. Okay, guys. Sorry about the technology challenges tonight. I wish I could have overcome that more easily. It seems like we pulled it off in the end, and it looks like Ricardo is right on the money. It looks like it's the reception because I'm far away from the router, the office router. I'll try to not do that again. Okay. But I appreciate your time, your participation, and your due diligence in staying on board here and taking notes and taking action. I look forward to continued success in serving you guys and doing some surfing and masterminding for the immediate group in Massachusetts. Okay, God bless you all. Hope you have a good Labor Day weekend. Bye-bye.